This is despicable. It's locked. It's locked, all right. Maybe there's a way to break into this house. There has been a fight here. I can see a blood trail. Left by one of the antagonists, perhaps? What a mess. Something terrible happened here. But what? I had almost forgotten I applied for a position at Pembroke. It was so long ago.
You London vampires are so weak! This is my territory! Over there! Bloody monster!
Rats. Tasty rats. Those clever rodents are cautious now. They won't approach.
I must go now. Goodbye, Miss Billow.
Maybe I should leave the city.
We meet again, Mr. Kimura, in a more peaceful situation.
Dr. Reed. Still visiting London by night?
We must both be nocturnal animals, you and I. After your captivity, I thought you'd be more cautious.
Breathing the cold night air helps calm my mind, sir. I've had the most frightening nightmares since I escaped that filthy jail.
How is the situation in the West End?
I've heard rumors about armed men patrolling and fighting infected citizens in these very streets. I was lucky they didn't shoot me when I was abducted.
May I ask you what you do for a living, Mr. Kimura?
I was a landlord. A wealthy one. And not a very kind one, I realized recently.
Why this sudden epiphany? Is it because of your near-death experience?
I was already feeling nostalgic about Weymouth, my hometown. With recent events, I'm thinking about going back there.
What can you tell me about your abduction?
If you really want to know, I was locked in that building for 3 or 4 days. My jailer was insane, mumbling about sacrifice and voices.
And why didn't he sacrifice you?
That was the weirdest part. He claimed to spill blood was not enough. It had to be done when some stars were aligned.
Which stars?
That's the whole point. He wanted me to talk to him about some Red Queen configuration or constellation. I've never heard of such an astronomical term.
What did he say about voices?
He constantly whined about the voice of his master, ordering him to do terrible things. He wanted to silence the voice by offering blood. My blood.
Why are you so nostalgic for your hometown, Tadao?
I was focused so much on making money, I almost forgot that my relatives and friends are threatened by this epidemic.
Have you heard anything from your family?
I was not only a bad landlord, I was also a bad husband. I've not seen my wife and son for years. Busy, busy, busy.
At least now you're ready to go back and see them. But don't be surprised if your son bears a grudge, sir.
You make it sound like you suffered from an absent father yourself, Dr. Reed. Well, I'll keep your warning in mind.
Have you no friends at all?
Over the years, I'm afraid my greed turned me into my friend's adversary, while I became friends with my professional rivals.
Those you grew up with didn't share...
Would you believe I was once a member of poetry circles and an astronomy club? We were young, such joyful dreamers then. But I stopped laughing long ago.
Can you change? And is it what you really want? If so, it must come from within, not without.
I've seen what an altruistic gesture can do. Nothing forced you to save me, Dr. Reed, but you did. I will follow your example in these matters from now on.
There is no need to thank me. Rescuing a London citizen should not be out of the ordinary, though I'm afraid it may appear so in these difficult times.
You did not only rescue me, you fought for me. You put your life in danger to save me. That's quite extraordinary.
How will you cope if you're attacked again?
I don't know. I've heard about these men and women who patrol the West End every night, chasing criminals like my abductor. Maybe I should join them.
Tell me, Tadao, why was your abductor so interested in your passion for astronomy?
I dunno. We met a few times at the Royal Greenwich Observatory. He seemed to share my hobby. Then he invited me to his house and locked me in.
Yes, astronomy is a fascinating subject. When I was a child, my mother bought a small telescope for my sister and I. We spent many a pleasant evening stargazing.
Stars are not just dots in the sky, Doctor. They are the key to our understanding of the cosmos. They remind us how insignificant we are.
You're right. But children love magic and stories. I remember our mother told us constellations have the power to protect us.
Protection by the light of the stars. That's sweet. You remember the name of these constellations?
Draco. My favorite constellation.
Memory's a strange thing. I can recite without hesitation the names of the 88 constellations from childhood.
Get close to you.
No. In his madness, he spoke about a blood sacrifice to be made to his master when the stars aligned to a specific configuration.
Goodbye, Mr. Kimura. Take care.
It's locked, all right.
Hello again, Jonathan. To what do I owe the pleasure of your visit?
Sorry to disturb you again, but could you spare me a few minutes?
Of course, my dear. Always a pleasure to speak with you.
Concerning your investigation,
Yes?
are you truly seeking to identify my maker?
I cannot promise you anything, but yes. I am conducting some research of my own.
Do you think we shall ever see better days? Or at least, better nights?
I know not, Jonathan. I have seen some horrid days in my long lifetime. Experience has taught me that one cannot outrun the fates.
When all of this is over, the war and the epidemic, we could leave the city for a while. Travel around Europe, you and I.
Traveling is always so complicated for us poor creatures of the night. But yes, I would be glad to travel the world with you, my dear.
Will you tell me your story one day, Lady Ashbury?
One of them, perhaps. I have had so many lives, Jonathan. Eternity may not be enough to relate them all.
Do you know if the epidemic has affected many people in the West End?
I confess I've been more concerned by events in the East End. The wealthy have more efficient ways of dealing with infection.
But this is no common epidemic.
That is true. I must tell my daughter to stay at home for a few days. But the girl is stubborn and fiercely independent. Much like her mother.
Goodbye, Elizabeth.
should live.
Even someone you're close to.
Support the equality between men and women.
Good evening, Miss Ashbury.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reed.
Your mother has refused to turn you into a vampire. Tell me more about it.
Each time we argue, Mother expresses the same fear. She wants me to remain alive and full of joy, rather than become melancholy and immortal. She claims you can't have one without the other. It's pure selfishness.
It's your mother's choice. As daughters and sons, we have to accept the decisions our parents make for us despite our own wishes.
I love my mother, and have accepted everything from her. Even that she named me Charlotte, when it was not my original name.
Does it bother you?
No. Whoever I was when I was born, I am now Charlotte Ashbury. It hurts as much as it makes me proud to know that's the name my mother will read on my tombstone.
Your mother has walked this earth for much longer than you or I. She is wise, and we should not ignore her advice when we disagree with it.
But why shouldn't I be allowed to forge my own experience? There can't be only one righteous way to deal with eternity.
Why do you still hope to become a vampire, in spite of your mother's refusal?
It's the immortal aspect of vampires that interests me. The world won't improve unless women take charge. I'm convinced of that.
You're obviously a clever woman. With a good education and a brilliant future. But have you thought about the price you'd have to pay? The loneliness, the necessary masquerade.
Is it not true of every high position? To change this world and make it a better place, one needs time on one's side.
Tell me, Charlotte, how do you plan to achieve eternal life, since you've obviously given it a lot of thought?
I won't give up. You have no idea how determined I am, sir. I may contract a deadly disease. I may throw myself under a carriage, just to be saved by her sweet kiss.
That's a disturbing answer, young lady. And the worst part of it is, I know you speak the truth.
There are less dangerous ways, Doctor. Instead of throwing myself under a horse like Emily Davison, I could just throw myself into your arms.
Be careful what you wish for, young lady. I could gaze at you right now and then take you to a shady corner and have my way with you. And leave your carcass to the rats.
You wouldn't dare. My mother would know. She'd never forgive you.
How could she suspect me? Do you know how many vampires are lurking in the city tonight as we speak? Vampires with a worse sense of humor than mine.
Oh, my God. For one second, I thought you actually... Excellent, Dr. Reed. Very convincing.
Goodbye, Charlotte. Give my...
She's been quite busy these last few nights. I suspect you may see her, but...
Good evening, Dr. Reed. A great night, what?
I have found a restaurant that could satisfy you, Mr. Russell. The most intriguing and exotic restaurant in London.
Really? You have piqued my interest. Where is it?
It's a place where you eat in complete darkness and try to identify your meal without anything but your palate.
My, oh my, how interesting. It could even be fun to eat a little poisson et frite that way. Oh, thank you, Dr. Reed. Please, have this for your research.
I may have a look.
Remember, don't let any strangers... Have you noticed anything suspicious recently? Remember, don't let any strangers come into your house.
Do you know where you are standing right now?
In front of the Ascalon Club, I presume.
The Ascalon Club only summons or ostracizes. What is your business tonight?
I received an invitation. I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed.
Welcome to the Ascalon Club, then, Dr. Reed. Please proceed. Lord Redgrave is waiting on you upstairs.
There has been quite a battle here. I'm sure the Ascalon Club has the money to replace the furniture. I cannot enter. It's locked, all right.
Good evening. We repel the intruders for now.
My good friends, if I may have your attention. Behold our visitor, the good Dr. Reed. Newborn of blood so pure and strong that even my friend Fergal Bansher was no match for him.
Here, here, here!
Come forward, young Ekon, for we have so much to discuss. Welcome to the Ascalon Club, Dr. Reed. I am Lord Redgrave, Earl of Bristol and chairman of this exclusive association.
Lord Redgrave.
At last we meet. I've been eager to make your acquaintance. I've heard some astounding things about you. Please accept my condolences for your loss, Dr. Reed.
Thank you, my lord. Lady Ashbury expressed your wish to meet me.
Yes. The lady has always been a useful acquaintance, though not always reliable. Is she a good friend of yours?
Yes, she is. I may even say I admire her probity and her kindness. She has helped me since I was reborn.
The centuries have taught me never to trust a woman completely, especially if she is a mortal. Too prone to emotions, if you ask me. Too fickle when it comes to important decisions.
My lord, do not expect me to speak ill of Lady Ashbury.
Of course not, and I praise your loyalty. Would you offer the same fidelity to the Empire?
What do you mean?
I speak of the Skull Plague that threatens London and the country. You have been on the front line in the East End, but the time has come to open up a second front here.
The epidemic has escaped the quarantine. You have new cases of the outbreak.
We don't know for certain, but we cannot allow the disease to threaten the prominent heads of Great Britain.
Why have you asked me here?
Because the crisis is escalating. Our enemies, the Garda Priwen, have even launched an open hunt. The only way to calm things down is to put an end to the epidemic.
You want me to find possible sources of the outbreak in the West End? Is that it?
Ah, straight to the point, like all eager newborns. We shall have time to talk about all this, Dr. Reed, but first, I should like to get to know you better.
Talk? Is that the only reason you asked me here?
Well, no. I also wanted to meet the intriguing Ekon, who made such a powerful progeny of his sister. You have not learned the name of your maker, am I correct?
No, I haven't.
Have no embarrassment, Dr. Reed. We all make mistakes. But whatever your lineage, you are definitely Ascalon material.
What do you mean?
I would like you to become a member of the Ascalon Club, and to serve me as such.
Before I accept, I have so many questions.
Please ask.
What does it mean to be a member of the Ascalon Club?
It means that you swear to protect the interests of the Crown, that you become a loyal servant of the British Empire.
Do you have any official recognition from the government? A charter from His Majesty the King?
No. Of course, the Ascalon Club publicly supports the Empire, but the true nature of its members remains a secret.
Am I supposed to follow orders?
As founder and chairman of the club, I alone am entitled to make demands of our members, and I do appreciate obedience.
I killed Fergal, who claimed to be one of yours, sent to cleanse the East End of all Skulls. Will his death be an issue?
Do not worry. My priorities have changed. Fergal was a zealous servant of mine, but like any servant, he had his limitations and is readily replaced if necessary.
What is the Ascalon Club's express purpose?
We follow the credo of William Marshall, the greatest knight who ever lived. As was he, we are sworn to protect the British Empire.
What does Ascalon mean?
Ascalon was the lance wielded by St. George, glorious patron saint of England when he slew the dragon. And like that lance, we pierce the hearts of all our nation's enemies.
William Marshall founded the Ascalon Club.
Not exactly. William Marshall granted me immortality, and I founded the club a few years later. The good knight has been gone for so long.
I agree to join the club.
This is good news. Good news indeed in these crucial times. Let's inform the Assembly formally and proceed with your initiation.
My initiation?
Fear not. Nothing fancy nor dangerous. It is just that we, the members of Ascalon, believe that tradition and custom are the backbone of this country. My fellow members, dear friends, please gather and welcome this Ekon as one of our own.
Is he worthy? Is his blood pure?
Well, speak, Dr. Reed, in front of the most sacred blood. The blood of our beloved William Marshall, speak now. Will you serve and protect the crown as he did?
Yes, I will.
Then, young Ekon, it is time to testify with your blood. It is time to sign the Book of Allegiance. I know it's awfully gothic and a tad pedantic, but England's traditions are the backbone of our nation. Delightful. Welcome to the Ascalon Club, Dr. Reed. Take your place among the bearers of the lance.
One of us! One of us!
That went well, did it not? It is always useful to bolster the troops' morale, especially before a difficult battle.
You have the makings of a general, my lord.
I was, though very long ago. Well, not quite a general, but a proud defender of the crown.
So why did you really want to meet me?
Straight to the point again, young Ekon. All right, let's talk, you and I, Lance Sparrow.
I'm listening, my lord.
According to my spies, you have worked with Dr. Edgar Swansea on the epidemic, and your findings were quite alarming.
Do you know Edgar Swansea?
Not personally, but I've been told he has some sort of immortal fetish and is a good friend of yours.
Does it bother you that I consider him my good friend?
As long as you reveal nothing of the club's inner workings, why should I forbid you engaging in conversation with the good Dr. Swansea?
You were spying on me?
Not personally. I rarely leave this building. But once he found you, Fergal kept me informed. Until you put an end to his mission.
Who was Fergal? I don't see him sipping tea with the others in the club.
Fergal Banshire was my squire of sorts. Even before becoming that magnificent beast, he was a brute. He served me well for decades.
No, I mean, what was he? He was clearly no ordinary vampire.
No, he was a Volcod. All muscles and instinct. Quite the rare breed. Ferociously territorial. Mortals often mistake them for werewolves.
You do know I killed him.
Yes.
Will you bear ill will towards me for his death?
Of course not. Your victory was quite impressive and courageous. You earned my respect.
Yes, I'm convinced the recent invasion of frenzied Skulls in London is directly linked to the epidemic. This is not the Spanish flu, but something else.
I would be glad to hear more of your discoveries, Dr. Reed, but for now, my main concern is the security of London's inhabitants, both mortal and immortal.
What do you mean?
Alarmed by the epidemic, the Guard of Prewen has started a war against us British vampires. To appease the situation, we must eradicate the Skulls.
Skulls are hostile vectors of contagion. That is a fact. But first and foremost, they are victims.
I agree, Dr. Reed. Most of the new Skulls who roam the streets at night used to be good British citizens. But they must be put down nevertheless.
So, what do you want me to do?
I want you to investigate the city thoroughly. I have reason to fear there are cases of contagion in this part of town. Our absolute priority is to find and cleanse them.
And how would you like me to proceed?
By all means necessary, Dr. Reed. You are now a member of the Ascalon Club and you have carte blanche. Interrogate the locals, follow all the leads you find, and get results.
Skull. We are losing this fight.
How's your investigation going, Dr. Reed? Time is our enemy.
I have a few questions for your lordship.
All right, but be quick.
You made me swear on the blood of William Marshall during my initiation ceremony. Why was that?
William Marshall was the most glorious knight who ever lived. He served 5 kings, and was a living example of probity for all. And he was my maker.
William Marshall was a vampire? Is this some sort of joke? Wait. Could he be my maker?
That would be joyful news, for it would mean he still walks among us. But alas, the great knight has left this world for good.
Why is his blood so sacred to the Ascalon Club?
He was simply the greatest defender of the realm we have ever known. I fought by his side at the Battle of Preston, and he made me his progeny following the fight.
What can you tell me about the Great Hunt?
It's a major concern, and I'm convinced we'll only get a satisfactory conclusion by putting an end to the epidemic.
I must admit the Guard of Prewen impressed me.
I have already met Geoffrey McCullum. I am certain he will persist until he has killed every last vampire.
The Guard's current successful recruitment campaign is driven by the ravenous behavior of the Skulls.
I see. So without the epidemic creating Skulls, the Guard could not convince anybody of our presence.
Exactly. Once we have put the epidemic behind us, we need only wait until the Guard grows old and weak. Time will once again become our ally.
What about the risk of a full-scale attack here? Jeffrey McCullum is a daring leader.
That is exactly why so many of our number have left the country until things improve. But not me. I founded this club. I'll die defending it.
May I ask you about the mortal who attended my initiation? Mr. Aloysius Dawson.
A member of the club does not normally ask questions about other members. We trust each other mutually.
So he really is a member, then?
Indeed. Only the most eminent members are allowed to attend such ceremonies. Even if I admit some of us fled during the first hours of the Great Hunt.
But Mr. Dawson is mortal. Are you not afraid he might reveal who you are? Especially to your enemies.
Aloysius Dawson is a man of his word, as are all of us. This is the Ascalon Club, Dr. Reed. We do not grant access to the unworthy.
Goodbye, Lord Redgrave.
Godspeed, Dr. Reed. We are counting on you.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. How does it feel to be this evening's centerpiece, figuratively?
It's quite unsettling. As a doctor, I am more used to being the observer than the subject observed.
Do not be alarmed. The Ascalon Club has a tried and tested policy for choosing its initiates.
May I ask who you are, sir?
Why would you be interested?
Well, as you seem to be the only man in the room with a beating heart, you draw quite a bit of attention yourself.
Ah, vampire senses never cease to fascinate me. They dwarf those of mere mortals. I am Aloysius Dawson, by the way.
Are you a member of the club?
Yes, I am. And I have been for many years. And will be until the day I die.
What can you tell me about it?
It's not really my place to give you such information. I am merely a mortal member, and a dying one at that.
Are you sick?
Personally, I consider my advancing years are a sickness in itself. My body is slowly abandoning me, Dr. Reed.
Are you not afraid? You are surrounded by vampires.
Sir, it's for that very reason that I joined the club in the first place.
Is not the nature of this club a secret shared by only a privileged few?
My dear Dr. Reed, I have spent years and a fortune precisely to gather that kind of information.
So you asked for membership?
I have been a member of many clubs in many countries. But I must admit, this one is my favorite.
What can you tell me about Lord Redgrave?
I would not dare speak of our chairman without his consent.
Mr. Dawson, of Dawson and Dawson, the wealthiest man in England. It is a pleasure to meet such a prominent figure of London.
A withering London figurehead, to be precise.
Are you sick, Mr. Dawson? I am a doctor, you know.
My case is beyond the scope of traditional medicine. I have spent fortunes on the world's most competent doctors to arrive at that diagnostic conclusion.
I'm sorry to hear that, sir. Should I suppose that you're here in search of some form of immortality?
Absolutely not. I'm here to implement my plan to save the city I was born in. To cast out the ghastly evil that has us all on our knees.
What do you know about the Guard of Priwen?
I should not say this, but I admire their commitment. This is what the nation needs right now.
But they are our enemies.
They are not mine, Dr. Reed.
Would you help them?
No. There is a time for such methods. But brute force will not be enough to fight this plague. We have to think differently.
What is the situation like in this part of town?
I am sure Lord Redgrave will enlighten you more effectively than I.
Money cannot solve every problem. This mysterious epidemic is going to require more than money can buy.
You're right. Money is nothing unless one has the will to wield it. I have a plan, sir. A radical one that will save all that is essential in London.
What is your plan, then?
Quarantine and barricades are futile. What we need is a wall. A formidable, unscalable wall to isolate the deserving from the infected masses.
But that would segregate the rich from the poor, would it not? It would be unjust.
Our only course of action must be to save England. And to save England, we have to make sacrifices.
Are you not mistaking sacrifice for summary execution?
Why do you care? Are you not a vampire? Removed from all mortal concerns? Decisiveness is what the city needs, and it needs it now.